Coming up on today's wrestling news, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk break the internet with real WWE heat.
The truth about CM Punk's WWE future.
Why CM Punk returned to WWE.
And is WrestleMania coming to the UK?
If it is, it's got to have the Punk on it based on all this news. I'm Michael Hamflett.
And I'm Phil Chambers.
And this is the news.
It's the CM Punk news.
What a place to start. Where else but the Punk here? And I suppose technically where else but Drew McIntyre and Jack Perry too. The internet, more specifically the wrestling internet, but when is that not the whole internet, was broken last night when Drew McIntyre's latest post as part of Feeding the Beast, that is his feud with CM Punk, featured himself and a picture with Jack Perry with the caption, it's a real photo, cry us a river. You don't need us to explain what the whole context of all of that is. Needless to say, it was up long enough to get 1.5 million views, countless more impressions than that. It went across X and Instagram, so at various points there were screenshots of wrestlers seeing the tweet and liking the tweet. I think there was Isla Dawn, Chris Jericho, when Instagram gives you people getting all sorts of that. Anyway, it was deleted off all the socials, maybe sort of like an hour and a half later on, if you were following along captivatingly in real time. There was even a fake Colt Cabana account that quote tweeted the picture saying, elite photo, and that got traction all of its own, of course, because Drew did a Colt Cabana tweet of his own earlier this week, just outright naming it when he was the kind of ghost at the feast during the Punk AEW controversy. But following deletion and then speculation as to if this was like a step too far, I guess, for the social media element of this program, there was a follow-up from Worked Wrestling, typically reliable scoops, along with others, I should point out, where the Work Wrestling one said, quote, while Drew McIntyre deleted his photo with Jack Perry, there is zero concern of backstage heat. McIntyre and CM Punk are working closely to craft their feud, and all references to past AEW or backstage issues have been given the green light by Punk ahead of time. Ebu from Wrestle Purist, a typically very reliable source, shouted out later on to say that yes, they might not like each other, but they want to draw money. So this just feels very much like the latest way a feud that has used social media very effectively in the past has now turned it all the way up to 11, as they would say in Spinal Tap, on the home straight to SummerSlam. Quite the incredible moment that photo dropped.
Beautiful tweet from Drew McIntyre. He has been on fire lately, especially on social media. But it's just so much fun. It's everything that you want it to be in terms of the sort of inside baseball kind of like backstage politics kind of thing. But it makes it so much better because you know what's happened with Punk and backstage politics in the past. But because they're both working together, it's absolutely fine. But the way it comes across on social media and on TV and stuff is just pure animosity, and it's wonderful.
Going back months now, I remember a comment, I can't remember who said it first, but I think it was something a lot of people were jumping on, was that could this be the effective monetization of how, like, the kind of heat a CM Punk is able to generate that maybe AEW weren't able to with Hangman Page when it was all a little bit too vague and a bit too like, what is this tension? They never quite captured it on screen in a way they have done here with Drew and Punk. And part of that is because obviously all of the fallout over in AEW had to happen to kind of reignite that with Punk and what people know of him and maybe what people expect of this WWE run. We're going to have a little bit more on that later in this news, but indeed, just the latest chapter in Punk and Drew. My speculation, and I hadn't had this confirmed, I have some speculation that this has felt like, to get 2 in a week, to get this plus the Colt Cabana name check is by design heading into this Go Home Raw. They maybe want to look at the story with Seth Rollins being added and being like, let's just not lose sight of the real life stuff of all of this, So they want both heading into Monday night when we have the referee's instructions.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've chosen to heat it up at the perfect time, leading into the final war before SummerSlam, leading into SummerSlam. It's just like a full little ramp right at the end. Like, it's been steadily getting worse and worse and worse as it goes through the summer, but now it's just ramped up and it's like, this is perfect timing to just make sure I just want to see this match. It's going to be so much fun. But speaking of CM Punk and WWE, Ebu of Wrestle Purist again had a report saying that CM Punk was in talks about to adjust his WWE contract. And it led to a lot of speculation about is he already renegotiating his contract? Like, what's going on? Well, Fightful Select have come through with a report saying it's not like exactly what it seems. Like, it's not just Punk going into business for himself and wanting to renegotiate his deal when he realises how hot he can get in WWE. Basically they said about the sort of injury time being added, like people close to Punk said that he hasn't exactly stopped working throughout all of that injury time, so they don't think that's a part of it. Obviously, he's been doing loads of TV appearances. He's been doing backstage stuff. He's been working with NXT, which was something apparently he volunteered to do as well. But he's been doing like kick-off panels for
he's made a lot of time,
commentary.
Hasn't he? Yeah.
He's been doing quite a lot considering he's been so injured. And obviously all the while ramping up this Drew McIntyre story to make sure they had a big payoff at the end of it. So that's not really a factor in it. Fighters like to say that they have heard that he's kind of overcome the reputation that he had coming into WWE of what people thought they were going to expect from a CM Punk, especially after all the AEW stuff and the sort of WWE stuff in the past. Apparently he's completely overcome with that. The people within WWE say he's very easy to work with. A WWE source said also that many promo lines that had been thrown his way, including some of these Drew McIntyre things, would have likely been an issue last year, but Punk's handled it all very well and knows he's in the middle of a hot angle. Now, they didn't have any updates after the Jack Perry stuff within this, but obviously other people have, and it's all part of it. Like they've cleared this beforehand. Yeah, it's not someone going into business for themselves. But regarding his deal, WWE sources say it isn't up imminently. It was actually the company that approached him about expanding the deal as business exploded and there were more elements that they thought they could work on. So it's WWE going to Punk saying, hey, wanna tie this in for a few more years or something?
It's one of those stories, isn't it? Whereas if this wasn't CM Punk, the narrative would be different. It would be like, wrestler is hot, business is hot, money is available.
Company wants wrestler.
Come together,
Yeah.
I think like obviously with Punk there's always like a different element of drama and excitement and buzz and all. He's like the cult of personality has rarely been a work, has it? Like it's one of the reasons why he remains such like a captivating presence and why we end up sort of talking non-stop about him, and because like typically the evidence is there that people want to know what's going on, whether you love, hate or are indifferent to him. He is about. I remember like our brilliant Michael Sidgwick of this parish noted that following the Trump assassination attempt there were still people using CM Punk memes to get their Twitter content across, and it was like he's on the timeline even then. And whichever company he works for, they obviously can potentially see the best ways to maximise and benefit having a guy like that in your roster. Meanwhile, while you're CM Punk, he's had enough things going in his career to make him realise that you never quite know what might come next. So if there is an opportunity to monetize and maximize your own time, you should do it. And we always say that about every wrestler, isn't it? There's a minimum of 2 billionaires vying for your services. Go and get that bag. Go and get as much as you possibly can. You fall on your back for a living, and you should be paid better than you are for it.
You've got a pretty small timeline to actually be in this business. You may as well get it while you can.
Absolutely. We're going to switch it up like Nintendo, Phil, and we're going to talk about CM Punk.
We're not spoken about for a while.
He was everywhere yesterday. Again, all of this feels nothing ever happens by accident. All of it feels very timely. We're a week and a bit away from SummerSlam. And he was speaking to the brilliant Denise Salcedo. She was reporting for Instinct Culture in this case at Comic-Con, where there was WWE and AEW presence there. Punk himself tweeted a picture of Danhausen getting interviewed at one point, so there was a nice reunion of those former AEW mates. But yeah, he was speaking to Denise Salcedo specifically about when he returned to WWE and what made it happen and all that sort of stuff back in 2023. And she asked the question, at what moment did you realise, hey, I want to go back to WWE or I need to go back to WWE? Was there a specific moment? Punk replied, going into detail, kind of for the first time really, in a public forum, on the relation of like Vince McMahon and whether what that had to do. And he said, quote, no, because it was never a thing that I was yearning to do. There were a lot of things that had to happen for the pathway to kind of clear. The stars had to align, There had to be a full moon. A lot of dominoes fell in order for us to get here. There was never man, I'd really like to go back. Vince being out of the picture, I think, probably illuminated the way. I think that might have been one of the biggest things. And that's both ways. For everybody who's going to obviously sensationalise a headline, that's us. It wasn't me, it wasn't him, it was just there's a lot of history there. All of a sudden, one of us is removed from the equation, and I think it changed a lot of things. There's... obviously Punk made no secret of his disillusionment with WWE, with Vince McMahon and Triple H, not just in the Colt Cabana podcast, but in the years that followed, the very ugly lawsuit and all that kind of stuff. But even going back as sort of recent as 2023, when he kind of controversially made that appearance backstage at Raw, I think in Chicago, we all remember the images of him in that car park speaking to Tamina, and there'd been discussion of making amends with The Miz, I think it was.
Yeah.
The story at the time was that Vince McMahon, via Skype or however he was still able to have an in with WWE, was like, I'm not building. So there was a lot of water that still needed to pass under the bridge, and I guess it doesn't need to now. He's back there.
Yeah.
He's worked closely with Triple H. From the points you were making before, all seems well, and people seem impressed with his outlook on things.
Yeah.
You know, seems to have formed a bond with Shawn Michaels, and/or ultimately wants his job. So yeah, the Vince McMahon being gone was a big part of CM Punk being back.
Yeah, I think we all kind of assumed this.
Yeah.
It's just nice to kind of hear it from the horse's mouth. Anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like the Triple H stuff, he obviously had issues with Triple H in the past, but Triple H has always been one, like, he's had feuds backstage with people before, and he's been one to sort of bury the hatchet when you need to for business.
He wouldn't be a political operator as sharp as he was in the 2000s without being a one when he puts the suit on.
Yes, exactly. So he knows when it's best for business to bury the hatchet and kind of just move forward, and obviously it's worked out. And by all accounts with the backstage stuff, it's like, all fears that could have come into this have just been waned, and they're having a great time making great business.
I mean, obviously, you were never going to know what kind of value CM Punk had because he only worked like a 3.5-star match at last year's Wembley show.
Yeah, disappointing, I would say.
I would say so.
So many matches better than it.
If it was this time last year, Phil, like after Wembley, like I'd probably want to go somewhere with other like-minded wrestling fans and debate the quality of that, and indeed the rest of the All In card. And it's kind of made me feel like I want to do it this year, you know?
Yeah.
But like, what I'll probably do when the show finishes, I'll probably just get in that massive queue of like 50,000 people and try and get on the cheap home. Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, no, actually.
What?
I'm going to go to Sweet Chin Disco's after party, which is a 2-minute walk away from Wembley Stadium.
That sounds too good to be true.
Way too good to be true. It is an after party. It's hosted by our one and only Adam Wilborn. I don't know why you haven't heard of this already.
I really should know that he's a comic. I see him every day.
But it's also going to have a Prince Nana DJ set and a Rapcaster rap show as well. And loads of like wrestling music and booze and things, and we're going to be there, and it's going to be a good time. But you know what you can do before All In as well?
Well, right, now here's the thing, right? Like, I don't know if you noticed, I'm wearing this What Culture exclusive t-shirt from a prior live show we did. I was gonna like look around London in the daytime for like any sort of What Culture merchandise, and then probably get to Wembley 5 minutes before the show opens.
Yeah,
that's the smart thing to do.
Not the smart thing to do.
What?
Actually, because there won't be any What Culture merchandise anywhere in London except at the Crystal Club, 2 minutes walk away from All In.
Well, that sounds, again, too good to be true.
Incredible. It starts at 12 p.m. You can get your tickets at whatculture.com/tickets. They're just 20 quid for a sort of live show that we're going to do, and then an extended meet and greet and hangout as well, where you can just hang out with us until you're ready to shuffle on over to AEW and have a bloody good time. Yeah, come with us, why not? And have a great time at All In. So, us for the pre-show, or AEW All In for the main show, and then Sweet Chin Disco for the after party. I'll put links in the pinned comments below. Get your tickets today.
You've been super helpful, Phil. You've answered nearly all of my questions, but there was one remaining. Like when I'm at Wembley All In, what I really want to do before actually seeing him record the video outside Wembley is like represent Simon Miller. And I can't think of an item I could buy that would really get across how much I love Miller's content.
You know what you could do?
Go on.
You could get some ups and downs for foam fingers.
What?
And then you can show your appreciation for every single match. If you had those foam fingers at last year's All In, you could have given Samoa Joe versus CM Punk an up.
Well, yeah.
Dave Meltzer could have given it a down.
We want a sea of red and green fingers like at 92 when they had all those bulldog, sort of turquoise. I want like red and green ups and downs everywhere across Wembley Stadium.
As possible.
Yeah.
But get your tickets today. Links in the pinned comments. But finally, big shows in London.
I'm aware of them.
You are aware of them. There's been 2 with AEW. Well, there's been 1 with AEW. There's about to be another one. But there's about to be something potentially even bigger.
Finally happening, isn't it?
Maybe. So Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, put up a video on social media last night, or this morning even, basically just with like a bunch of footage of him and Triple H and
Nick Khan
wandering through the Mayor of London offices, having a bit of a meeting together, and then at the end of the video, Triple H just says, "Are you ready?" And then the tweet just says, "Delighted to have met Paul Levesque and President Nick Khan WWE President Nick Khan
give it time
to discuss making London WrestleMania's first international destination. The meeting was really productive. Talks will continue about how we could turn our ambition into a reality." So it definitely feels like this could finally be happening.
Yeah, we've obviously gone back years and years and years. I remember a quote, I think it was in 2018, where like Triple H had done a couple of NXT events in the UK, and he was like a bit bullish about, SummerSlam 92 wasn't a big success actually. And back then he was talking about how like the time would be prohibitive because of like times of, like even then when the network was in play, it was like, no, they have to start at this time. This is just how the company does. Obviously, since then, countless changes, countless international shows. It's never felt closer to a reality.
Netflix as well is going to make it very different in terms of streaming.
Like it feels closer than ever. There's of course not just they've been very careful to say London here. Like Triple H has presented himself as a West Ham fan. They've got the Olympic Stadium. Tottenham Hotspur's White Hart Lane got a big do out a couple of years ago, and it's basically the flashiest football stadium in the UK. Wembley itself, if it can accommodate, and this is probably crucial, if it can accommodate a bigger number than All In 2023, one feels like that's the big...
not running Wembley unless they can beat All In.
We've got to make 90. That's the sort of rule. Even if we're working 2 nights rather than 1. Like, can you just combine the two of it? No, I'm afraid you don't understand.
Not.
Yes, it has to be 83,112 or whatever the big number was. So you sense that's going to be part of it as well.
They run the O2 all the time, so you'd assume they'd go back there for the Raw and SmackDown and the NXT shows and things.
Countless places to do the various conventions and functions.
Loads.
Like, I mean, it was only there was like a BritRes boom, and you could have had a bunch of local independent shows, but NXT UK put paid to that. So
thanks, Trips.
But I'm sure a bunch of organisations would gather in London for the weekend as well. It's certainly as good a city as anywhere in the world to host it in terms of its provisions. And,
in terms of a hub for Europe as well, like this is not just like British WrestleMania, it's a Europe WrestleMania. There will be people coming from all over Europe because it's much easier to get to London than it is to get to America.
AEW had that last year. A lot of people travelling from Europe for All In as well.
And where London's a very easy hub, everywhere bloody flies to London, so... Yeah, it's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. They obviously had the John Cena thing at Money in the Bank as well, where they hinted it, and then it went weirdly quiet afterwards.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, were they a bit too quick on their ball for that hint?
Sadiq Khan is, of course, a Labour mayor of London, so having the actual full government shoot on his side now for that might, again, drive that forward. Who knows? But it's...
I'd love to know how much they're going to pay for it.
Say there, how much we're going to pay for it. And you in the UK as well, if you're in the comment section as well, enjoy putting your taxes towards WrestleMania. Don't fight about it in the comments, let us know what you think. And Phil, I've loved just being a part of this video, and I probably want to watch similar ones to it on a thing that's going to appear right there. But like, if only there was a way to do that, how would you do it?
You could just continue on your YouTube journey by clicking this video.